Hi. So this would be a small introduction to Databricks machine learning certification. So we'll go through the introduction about what are the certifications which are provided by Databricks when it comes to machine learning. There are two certifications here, which is the professional and associate. And I personally cleared the professional one 3 months back. So I did not give the associate one. I directly gave the professional one and I was able to clear it. So this would just be a small walkthrough or a guided path on the content and the courses resources I use, which helped me in my journey, and also a little bit more about the preparation strategy as well as the exam pattern in general. So let's go through the introduction as well as what are the contents. So as the name suggests, so these certifications will mostly check your knowledge when it comes to machine learning with respect to Databricks or PySpark ecosystem. So if we go through the content of the associate certification, so you'll find that the first and foremost step would be it checks your knowledge on Databricks. So there are some Databricks specific features like Databricks machine learning workspace, clusters, repositories, jobs. Then Databricks has a specific runtime for machine learning. It checks your knowledge on basis of that. Databricks also provides you an AutoML feature. So it's a UI based feature where you can run your algorithms and the machine will give you the best one. So there is an option called as feature store in Databricks, which allows you to store your data sets as well as a different version of the data set for future use. And along with these three, there's also MLflow. So MLflow is an open source library which is used for tracking your models, multiple runs, experiments. So it's basically to monitor your model performance. And an extra addition to MLflow is model registry. So what model registry allows you to do is it allows you to train your model, experiment your model on various hyperparameters, and it also allows you to store it in a particular place according to different versions. So that is what is model registry and ML flow. Okay, so apart from the Databricks specific components, it will also evaluate your general machine learning techniques like EDA, feature engineering, missing error imputation, hyperparameter tuning, the evaluation metrics. So this would constitute most of your core data science and machine learning questions. So along with this, since we are working on the Databricks ecosystem, you'd also have to be very good in PySpark or the Spark engine in general. So here you will come across distributed machine learning concepts. Basically, what is a distributed system? How does Databricks function? What is Spark? Then there are how do you build machine learning models on top of Spark? So we use libraries like Spark ML, which is used to perform or train your models. And when it comes to Spark ML, there are specific features like estimators, transformers, and then pipelines, training, evaluation. So all these things are included in the Spark ML part. So also you will get to know more about Pandas API, Pandas UDF, Pandas functions. So most of these concepts are not related to machine learning in general, but these are the libraries which PySpark uses for machine learning. So this will test your skills on that. And at the end, you'll also have some core machine learning questions. So those will be based on your algorithms like linear regression, decision trees, ensemble methods, the evaluation parametrics, in what condition do you use what model. So this checks your core machine learning basics. So in total, you'll have 90 minutes to complete the examination. So you'll have 45 multiple choice questions. So there will not be any coding questions or programming ones. So you'll have multiple choice questions which may contain syntax or code. They may ask you to check if the syntax is correct or not. So also coming to the distribution, you'll see that uh, Databricks machine learning covers 29% of your content of the questions in the exam. Apart from Databricks machine learning, you'll also have 29% on ML workflows. So this involves your feature registry, ML flow, model registry, feature store, delta tables, how do you version these models, hyperop, those kind of things. And 33% will purely depend on Spark ML. So Spark ML is basically your Spark language, and which uses the Spark ML library to create models. So this will check your core concepts. And then the last part, which constitutes 9%, is scaling machine learning model. So this is more sort of a deployment phase. So how do you deploy your models on features on model registry? How do you register them? And we have stages like archive stage, staging stage, and then production stage. So how do you move your models to production? So those kind of things would be tested in the scaling ML part. So as you can see, most of the emphasis here would be first on Databricks and Databricks related ecosystem features like features for all those. Second, ML workflows, and third, your core ML. So these three are the most important parts. So coming to the passing criteria, you'll have to get, I think, 80%. 80% or above will be your clearing criteria. So if you are able to solve these three parts of the exam, then even if you leave out the scaling ML models part, it would work fine for you. So yeah, this is the syllabus of the associate certification. So when it comes to professional, so whatever you have the contents here, you'll have all these, plus you'll have also one more module called as machine learning and production. So if you see the syllabus, first thing, you'll have the same data engineering questions like ML flow, and then this will go a little bit more into ML flow, advanced experiment tracking. How do you log artifacts? How do you log hyperparameter values? That will be taken into consideration here. Apart from that, you'll also have some questions on Delta Lake. How do you create a Delta Lake? What is the use of Delta Lake? How do you implement it with respect to your machine learning model? So that will be tested here. And coming to the machine learning part, and since I told you before, this would be more sort of production level machine learning code. So it will check your skills on how do you build machine learning pipelines, how do you use ML from model registry, how do you automate your pipelines using webhooks and Databricks jobs, and then how do you save your models. So basically here we'll be using ML flow, and ML flow has a python model storage structure. So it will check that part. So are we able to productionize your machine learning models, store them into proper formats, and then deploy them. So as it is mentioned here, there's a major emphasis on deployment of models. So there are various stages of deployment or various types. It could be batch deployment, it could be a streaming deployment, as well as a real-time deployment. So all these three can be done using Databricks and PySpark. So you'll have to study a bit on what are the different types of deploying machine learning models, how do they work, and how do you implement it in terms of PySpark. So when it comes to batch, so we have Spark UDFs and feature stores, which allows you to do batch deployments of machine learning. Also, there are streaming, there are machine learning deployments which work as a streaming service. You have your PySpark streaming API, which allows you to read data in terms of as a continuous stream of data, and you can run your models on top of that. And then there are real-time deployments wherein you can deploy your machine learning model as a RESTful API and you can serve it. So once this part is done, there's also a little bit of emphasis on the post model deployment strategies. So these include your drift, so basically data drift and concept drift. How do you identify this? And there would also be some sort of probability tests and strategies which are used to identify drift. How do you monitor them? There are numerical tests, there are categorical tests, and in whole, this will encompass your drift detection and drift identification solutions. So as it is mentioned here, so profile certification includes all the portions or syllabus which associate covers, plus it gives a little bit more emphasis on the deployment part as well as the post model prediction part. And coming to the exam pattern, you'll have 60 questions here compared to 45 questions in associate. You'll have 60 questions and you'll have 120 minutes to solve it. So coming to the programming language of all the codes present, so the Python would be the primary language, and there would be some code which would be in SQL format. But do remember, you'll not be asked to program or code any questions. there will be mostly like code snippets given in which you'll have to find out if there are any errors, if this works fine. So that's the programming language part of it. Now coming to the preparation sources. Okay, so how do you prepare for these examinations? Okay, so we'll start off with the first part. So if you scroll down and if you see the preparation section here, so Databricks has their instructor-led courses. So these are 3 to 4 days of instructor-led live sessions, which are paid. So if you are comfortable enough in paying a fee, you can surely take these courses. Let's come to the self-paced or the free version. Okay, so as suggested here, it's a very good source which they mention is Databricks Academy. So Databricks Academy is a collection of resources which the Databricks team has provided. They have notebooks and course preparation materials. So you can use the courses there and you can prepare using that. So this is totally self-paced and free. So you'll not have any support from anyone, but you can study on your own. So if you want to visit Database Academy, they have their GitHub page. So it's a Database Academy on GitHub. So if you go to their page, you'll be interested in 3 courses here. So the first course, which is mandatory for both associate and professional, is Apache Spark programming with Databricks. So what this course covers is the basics of Spark. How do you read a data frame? How do you manipulate a data frame? What is delta tables? How do you create it? So this won't go into the machine learning side of it, but this will focus more on what is Spark core, why are you using Databricks, the distributed Databricks system in general, how do you read data, what is Delta Lake. So if you see the parts, so you'll have introduction, you'll have Spark core, which covers what is Spark and PySpark. Then you have certain functions which are used in PySpark to read data, to manipulate data, to filter data, all those things. Then comes the performance part. Then you'll have streaming data. How do you read streams of data which are coming in? And at the end, you'll have something called as Delta Lake. So Delta Lake is a storage format which the Databricks team has created. So you'll get to know what are the features of Delta Lake, how do you create one, how do you use one. And along with this, you'll also have lab or questions in which you can solve. And the solutions to all those questions are given here in this folder. You can go through them, you can read, you can refer. So how do you download this? So if you go to the releases part here, so there are 2 options. One is you can download a PDF which contains all the notebooks in a PDF format. But I'll strongly suggest you to download these DBC files. So if you see the first one, this is a Apache Spark Programming DBC file. So just download this. Once you are done, what you can do is you can search for Databricks community version. Just go here and you can register for a free account. So this is their free workspace which you can use for learning, experimentation, and trying out. So you can go here, you can sign up and make sure you fill all the details, everything, and then click just get started for free. So this will create your account. Once it is done, come to this page and log in. So the database community screen looks somewhat like this. This is basically you can think it of a web IDE for Databricks notebooks and files. What you can do here is whenever you log in, so here if you go to the workspace part, you will have a folder created with your name. What you can do is you can just click on import, and then you can select this DBC file, this particular one. So what this would do is this would import the whole course in this format as this folder. So you'll have all the folders here, including the notebooks. So this would be a good choice. So you can go to each notebook here. So this would the basic database. So you can see this is a well-documented code. They have all the queries here. They have written all the things. There are some tips and tricks. How do you solve it? How do you write the code? How do you create a table and all those stuff. So you can go through. So each section has 4 to 5 contents or 5 modules. You can go through each one of those and you can first go through it, you can read, and then you can also run their code and solve it. So this would give you a decent enough knowledge in all the particular things. Also, one more thing, once you are comfortable with this notebooks, so along with one notebook there's also a lab. So if you see there's a Spark SQL notebook and there's a Spark SQL lab. So here you'll have some questions which are given here, and you'll have to write the code to solve this. So this will give you a better idea if have you understood the part which was there in the SAS in the previous notebooks. So in this case, for each notebook, you'll have one more lab. So there's the data lab, and there are some mini projects of sort where they'll give you a certain task, and you'll have to accomplish this using PySpark. And if you want the solutions to these labs, you'll have them in the solutions folder. In this part, you'll have the solutions according to your notebook. So this is a very great resource. You can just download these DBC files and import it. So this will give you a more hands-on experience. You'll get the theory part of it, also the coding part. So as we went through, this would be our first course which we need to complete. That is the Apache Spark Programming Essentials. The second course is Scalable Machine Learning with Apache Spark. So this would focus more on machine learning using PySpark. So yeah, so these were the courses. If you want to, you are following the associate learning path. So if you complete these two courses thoroughly and you have the knowledge, you'll be easily clearing this associate certification. When it comes to the professional certification, so you'll need to complete this Apache Spark program with Databricks, then scalable machine learning. One course you would need to do extra is ML in production. So this course focuses more on deploying your models to production. Then what are the deployment paradigms which are available, types of deployment, real-time streaming, all those things, and also the post-deployment activities like how do you monitor drift, how do you find out if there's a deviation in, let's say, features or data. So these three courses are more than sufficient enough for you to clear these two certifications. This is one option which is going through these Databricks Academy courses. The second option here is they have the Databricks team has a learning academy. So it is called as a customer academy. So you can just go to this link, customeracademy.databricks.com, and here they have some free courses which help you prepare for these certifications. They may not have exact courses which cover all the topics, but you will find out that there are courses made for small concepts. So there is a course for ML flow, there's a small course for feature store and all those things. But you need to remember one thing, the customer academy is free, but all the courses here are not free. So some courses are locked. So you will be able to get only some of the free courses. But there's one more site which is called Databricks Partner Academy. Okay, so this Partner Academy is available only for the employees of certain organizations who have a tie-up with Databricks. So you can just check with your employer if you have an association with Databricks. If yes, you can register here using your office email ID, and this will provide you access to all the courses for free. So you will get more than double the courses which you get in the free part. But if you do not have it, you can continue going with the Customer Academy courses. And the courses which are available here in this learning portal use these notebooks itself. So you can consider them as a video explanation of these courses, these GitHub repositories. So you will have a person who will go through each of these notebooks, tell you the important concepts. So if you have an access to the partner portal through your company, that would be the best part. Just log in, search for the topics you want, and go through the session. But if you do not have a employee association with them, you can use Customer Academy, go through simple courses, and follow these GitHub notebooks. Okay, so once this is done, so let's also go through what type of questions you can expect in the exam. So as we know, the questions are mostly multiple choice based, and they would focus more on your conceptual clarity as well as how familiar you are with the code part. So since these are MCQ questions, do not ignore the code part. Around 50 to 60% of the questions you get in the exam will be related to code. For example, you'll be given a code snippet. Let's say a code snippet to transition a model from product archive to production using ML flow, and you'll have four options. Let's say the question would be what task does this code snippet achieve? And you'll have 4 questions, and you can answer that question only when you have read those code part of it. So make sure you go through all the code present in the Database Academy courses, those DBC notebooks, and you're totally fine. Also, there are a few conceptual level questions based on the Databricks features. So let's say there are these features like feature store, model registry. So you can face questions like, at what circumstance would you use feature store? When would you use ML flow? What are the advantages of using Spark ML when it comes to your scikit-learn models? So be ready to face these questions. And also an important part is you may also be asked to complete some code snippets. You'll be given a block of code, and let's say there would be 2 or 3 blocks missing. So in that case, you will be asked to fill them by picking in the options below. So you'll also have to remember a little bit of the concepts. So what are the methods? What are the classes? What method you call for doing what task? So you'll have to use that. And there are also a few questions on general machine learning. So you can also expect questions on machine learning models, advantage of certain models, when do you use it, when do you not use it, evaluation metrics, at what time you'll use what evaluation metric. And if you are going for the Databricks certified professional course, expect a lot of questions on the productionization part. So how do you build a REST API? So what are the REST APIs would you use for a certain use case? You'll also face questions like, you'll be given a situation, a circumstance. Let's say a company wants to build a machine learning model for weather prediction. So you'll be asked which component of database would you use, or which type of model deployment would be suitable in this case. So you'll have options like real-time streaming, batch streaming. So you'll have to pick from that. So if you're going through the Database Certified Machine Learning Professional certification, apart from these 3 courses, also go through a little bit on productionization of models in general. How are they productionized? In what use case, what productionization paradigm is useful? So that will help you clear the questions here. And you'll also face a little bit of questions on the data engineering part of Databricks, for example, PySpark, a bit on Spark. How do you read a data frame? What's the difference between data frame or data set? And basic functions and filters. Yeah, so that is the exam tips. So coming to the last part, and that is, how can you earn free exam vouchers? So this is not a fixed thing. So Databricks team regularly keeps on organizing virtual webinars and virtual events in which if you attend them, you'll be able to get a free voucher. And using that voucher, you can give any exam. So to go through these events, so this is the site databricks.com/events, and keep an eye out here. You'll get all the events which are occurring. So not all, but some of these events, these are all free to register. But some of these events, if you they have certain criteria. Let's say it's a 3 days event and you attend at least 2 days. So once you fulfill that criteria, you'll get a free certification voucher. So make sure you visit this page regularly, go through these events which are available, go through their description, and just check if any of these description you have any free vouchers that are given back. These are quite, they are regularly given out, and in a month you'll find 1 or 2 events like that where you'll get the certification vouchers. So even if you have a certification voucher from your company or your employer, but still you can look out to get a free voucher here and practice giving an examination. So one such event was there last month. So this was an event which was there on 18th October. So if you see, there is a um, there's a claim here that attendees are eligible for getting a database certification voucher. So this was a 3-day event, and if you attended the event for at least 2 days, you would get a free voucher which is valid for 2 months. So the part to register is simple. You just register your full name, your company address, after everything, and then submit it. So you'll get a mail asking you to join this webinar on a certain time. You just need to join it, and you'll get a survey to fill when you join that webinar. And once you fill it, you'll be eligible to get your voucher. So hope it was useful. If you have any queries or any questions, please post them below and I'll try to answer most of them.